Welcome back to Archie Spencer FX. So today we're going to be going over the 5 things which you need to be careful of in the trading space. Right, so when I was learning to trade, it took me a hell of a long time and cost me a hell of a lot of money. Now that's simply because I went down the YouTube rabbit hole of following different strategies, changing strategy every week, having no mentor, and just believing that I could do it all myself, which is certainly not the case. If you think you're going to be the guy which goes out there and does it all from YouTube and manages to do it in a couple of months, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're not that guy, right? It just simply does not happen. Now, the amount of money and the amount of time that I lost through going through the pain of trying to self-learn trading was complete waste of time and money. There was no value to it whatsoever. If anything, it actually caused more harm than good, because I learned so many bad habits. I lost so much of my own money because I was trading and I didn't even know what I was doing with my money, but I was so arrogant to believe that I actually could make this happen on my own without any sort of mentorship at all. So the first thing that I want to talk about is trading is not a scheme, right? It's a skill. You can't expect to come into the trading industry and just master it straight away. I don't think you can ever master trading. The financial world is always adapting so quickly. There's always new things coming into place. There's always new rules and regulations which are changing. So it's a forever growing industry that will simply never stop. So just like the same way that if you were becoming a doctor, you would expect to go to university for how many years and study it to get the qualifications to get to that level, then it's exactly the same with trading. You have to take the time, the effort, and the energy to actually become a successful trader. It's certainly not something that you can do just by watching a YouTube video and expecting to become an expert that quickly. That would be exactly the same as watching an episode of Grey's Anatomy and expecting to become a fully qualified doctor after watching a couple of videos on it, right? It's not that simple. You have to spend time in the markets to actually learn the markets and master the markets. So one of the reasons that so many people fail in the trading space is because they treat it like gambling, right? And there is a certain degree of gambling inside of trading. Of course, you're risking money, you can lose it, and you're hoping to get a reward. If you look at it just like that, then there's not really anything that separates trading from gambling. However, the difference is the education behind it. Now, there are people which can go out there and count cards, but yes, that's also illegal. And there's different ways that you can manipulate the casino, but that's also illegal in most scenarios. If it's not now, then it will be in the future. But with trading, you can actually go out and get a genuine education. Like for myself, I went out and did the level 5 diploma in technical analysis, and now I'm still continuing to learn. Even after being a profitable trader and mentoring students for a couple of years, I'm still wanting to seek further education, because like I said earlier in the video, it's a space which is constantly adapting. So the moment that I stand still is the moment that I get left behind and I lose my edge in the markets. So the purpose of me studying the CFA is to keep in touch with that constantly developing market. And if you stop, it's not a question of when you get left behind or if you get left behind. It's a matter of a couple of months, a couple of years, and you will certainly be left behind and no longer making money. So you have to constantly adapt, and that's just like having a strategy where it might be profitable for a year or two, but I'm sure that edge is going to erode, because they always do. So with trading, you need to expect to be learning it for a long time. Don't expect to come in and instantly be profitable, because it just simply doesn't work like that. So this is not me trying to kill your dream of becoming a trader. This is me setting forward realistic expectations, so you're not trying to chase this dream of you're going to be a millionaire in a year's time. It's very, very unlikely, unless you're already trading with 900,000, then you might be able to do it, because you're only going to have to get 11 or 12%, whatever the maths works out to there. So be realistic. It's a skill which is top tier, and that's why it pays so well, because it is so difficult. If it was easy, everyone would be able to do it and there'd be no profit in the market. So that is my point number 1. So leading on to point number 2, we're going to talk about fundamental analysis, right? Probably probably a lot of you actually haven't heard of fundamental analysis, or you've heard about it but you're certainly not educated in the space. So what every single trader does, myself included, and probably 99% of you watching this video, what you've done is you've gone out and you've learnt the technicals, or maybe you've not got to the point where you're learning trading yet. So what you have to do is the technicals, because they're very important, but you also need to understand the fundamentals. You need to understand the macro data, you need to understand the geopolitical tensions, and you need to understand how when Trump posts on social media, whether that be Truth Social or whether that be an X post, you need to understand how these things can affect the markets. So I did my level 5 diploma in technical analysis. However, before I did that, I was already very good at understanding my fundamentals. Now, that is the biggest player in this space. The fundamentals tell you which asset you want to be trading and in which direction you want to be trading it. And the technical analysis will simply allow you to time the entry. So what I might see, let's use a recent example. So the RBA, the Republic Bank of Australia, they have been hiking rates now consecutively since the start of this year. Now they're now at 4.35, and that leaves them in a position where they really need to stop hiking interest rates. The hiking cycle is coming to an end. Then you've got the RBNZ, the Republic Bank of New Zealand, who have been cutting rates since May 2024. So you've got two ends of the spectrum there. You've got one currency which is hiking and one currency which is cutting. So let's rewind 6 months to when this was a valid trading setup. You would have wanted to go long the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar because of the fundamental setup, not because of the trend line, right? The trend line is going to help you time it, but it's not going to help you if that setup is still valid from a fundamental point of view. And the fundamentals will just completely wipe out your technicals if they don't align together. When they align together, that's your perfect setup, and that's where the money is made. So the point I'm making here, the day that I learnt fundamental analysis, well, over the coming months where I learnt the fundamental analysis, that was where my profit completely shifted. I was breaking even, some months I would win, some months I would lose, on like this knife edge where it was kind of just as close to gambling as it gets, right? That's what technical analysis is. The moment that I implemented the fundamentals, understood the macro data, understood the geopolitics, that was the moment where my trading profits just exponentially grew. Because I wasn't just trading what I'm seeing on screen, I was trading real figures and stuff which genuinely moves the markets. Point number 3 that I want to make is demo trading is not an option, it's a necessity, right? I didn't really do any demo trading when I first started out, and that was very expensive and cost me a horrible time. My psychology went completely out the window because I lost everything that I had at the time. It wasn't a small amount of money, it was quite a substantial amount of money for the 19-year-old that I was at the time, and it was ruthless, right? And if I had just stuck with a demo account until I had proved myself to be profitable, I would have saved my psychology and I would have saved the money which I risked not knowing what I was doing. I would have genuinely had better odds if I had flown to Las Vegas and jumped into the casino for a week. I think I would have probably come out with more money than what happened when I went into the markets having no idea what I'm doing. At least in the casino, the odds are slightly more in your favour, but the market is relentless. It will take your money time and time again. It does not care how much money you have and how much money you're willing to lose. So demo trading, please, please, please do it. And do not even think about going live or getting a prop firm until you're profitable on a demo. Demo's easier than trading on a live account or a funded account because you've got no spreads and you've got no psychology issues. So if you're not profitable on a demo, I can tell you now, I can promise you, it's not going to make a difference if you translate into a live or a funded account. In fact, it's just going to make it worse. So you're just wasting time, wasting money, and killing your psychology if you're even thinking about trading live before you're profitable on a demo account. Point number 4, this comes to risk management. So I don't know if you've heard of the seesaw effect. This is one of the biggest killers in the trading space when someone's just starting to become profitable. So you always want to be risking a fixed amount. I don't care whether you've got A+ setups, B setups, C setups, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You should only be having A+ setups. All of your setups should look exactly the same. You might have a slight bigger bias or more intelligent bias with your fundamentals, but your technicals should look literally exactly the same every time. There should be no difference whatsoever. Obviously they're going to look slightly different on the chart, but each box that you're ticking is exactly the same every time. So you can't have A+, B and C tier trades. It doesn't exist. It's some retail trader nonsense which someone's made up, and it's costing people a hell of a lot of money. Because your C trade setups are going to be less profitable, and most of the time, 99% of the time, they're not going to be profitable. Because what that means is you're missing a couple of boxes ticked on your rule book for you to allow yourself to enter into this trade. So now you're allowing yourself to cheat, and that's become reasonable because you're now classing it as a C grade setup and only risking 0.5%. Why? Why are you risking your money and for a setup which has got a 30% chance of winning? It simply just doesn't make any sense at all. I can guarantee you, if you're using an A, B and C grade setup, look at your C and your B grades, and I bet you're only just about breaking even off of them, and most of them will probably be losing. Stick to the A grade setups and make sure you're ticking all of your boxes. That's what the boxes are there for, to be ticked. If you can't tick them all, if there's one missing, you don't enter the trade and you move on to the next one. So risk management is extremely important because it allows you to collect reliable data. If you're risking 1% on every trade, you know what's going well and what's going bad. If you're risking 2% on one, then you're risking 1% on another, then you're risking 1.5, then you're risking 0.5, your spreadsheet's going to be an absolute mess and you're not even going to know where to start. Because first thing you're going to have to do is translate all of them to be the same risk, and that's just creating another job for yourself, which is just completely unnecessary. The other issue, which is what I briefly mentioned at the start here, was about the seesaw effect. So what people will do is they go on a winning streak, say they're using a fixed 1% risk, then they go on a bit of a losing streak, right? They might lose 5 trades in a row. Now they're 5% down. So what they do is they go, right, this isn't working well at the moment. Maybe I need to drop my risk down to 0.5% from 1%. And then the next 3 trades win. But now they've not earned enough money to make up for those 5 losers because they've lowered their risk. If anything, you need to go balls to the wall when you're in this drawdown and go, you know what, I've lost 5 in a row now, there's got to be a winner coming up soon. The law of large numbers, there's got to be a winner coming up soon, so let's stick some more on. Now that's not financial advice, it's not something that I would do, but that's certainly the better option than lowering your risk. If you know you've got a profitable strategy, you should be able to see from your data, from a demo account, how many trades in a row can you lose on average? How often has this happened? And then you can make judgment around whether your edge is eroding or whether you need to make adjustments to your risk. But 9 times out of 10, do not change the risk. And point 5, the last point that I'm going to make is about psychology. Protecting your psychology at all costs is incredibly important. When you're first starting out, the best thing that you can do is put the trade on and walk away. Just forget about it. Forget you've even put the trade on. Set an alarm at your take profit and your stop loss, and only come back to look at that asset when one of those alarms goes off. Because everything in between your entry, your stop loss and your take profit is completely irrelevant. I don't know about you, I think it was Stanley Drunken Miller who said this. He said, I turn my screen off when I place a trade. I don't know about you, but I don't get smarter when I'm in a trading position, right? And I think that is excellent. It's so true. You do not get smarter when you're in a position. You start looking for every reason to why this trade can win and ignore every reason for why this trade can lose. So you just sit there at your screen battling it out, and you're not achieving anything. You literally are not achieving anything. It's going to cause you to hold on to losing trades because you've got so much hope that the thing's going to turn around, and then it's going to force you to close winning trades early because you're so scared that you're going to lose the P&L that's sitting on your screen. The money's not yours until the trade is finished, and the money's not lost until the trade is finished. So the best thing you can do, and I still do this to this day, place the trade, set my alarms and my take profit and my stop loss, and walk away. And then just simply come back when that alarm goes off. That is all you need to do. Okay guys, that is the end of today's video. So those are the 5 biggest points which you need to look out for when you're trading, and most of all, look after your psychology. All of these points root back to the same thing. We don't want to go insane, we want to be in this game for a long time, so look after your mind, take it steady, trade on demo till you're ready, and just be careful. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video, and please make sure to hit the subscribe button, like, and leave a comment of what you'd like the next video to be.